Hai guys, jumpa lagi. Kali ini kita akan membahas kasus Sabah. Hingga kini, sebagian orang Filipina masih meyakini bahwa Sabah adalah milik mereka, bukan milik Malaysia. Ada video yang menarik mengenai hal ini, yang dibikin oleh media Singapura beberapa bulan lalu. Kebetulan, sengketa Sabah sampai kini memang belum selesai di arbitrase internasional. Video ini dimulai dengan konflik berdarah setelah pasukan pewaris Sultan Sulu Filipina masuk ke Sabah pada Februari tahun 2013 silam. Konflik ini sempat membuat hubungan Filipina dan Malaysia pun tegang. Yuk kita simak ya.
More than 200 armed men crossed the seas from the Sulu archipelago in the Philippines to Sabah, Malaysia.
Saya punya istri pun tanyalah, kenapa lari dari sana dong? Bahwa penceroboh sudah ada di sana.
This would spark a month-long conflict that quickly turned deadly. And what tensions remain over the territorial claims of Sabah?
Ya, baru macam semalam saya melakukan. Ya, sudah 10 tahun. Dan kesan dia tu masih kita boleh lihat.
In February of 2013, Muhammad Azroy, a resident of Sabah, received an unusual call from the police.
Pada 2013, saya adalah penyelia perubatan PD Sri Sempurna Unit 2 Paskal. Bila kejadian tersebut, pihak barisan hadapan memerlukan anggota yang serba sedikit tahu tentang geografi dan jalan-jalan masuk di kawasan Felda Sahabat.
Felda Sahabat is a plantation area administered by the Federal Land Development Authority of Malaysia in the Lahad Datu district of Sabah.
Pada masa itu, setelah saya sampai di tempat operasi, keadaan agak tegang sebab kita masyarakat awam bercerita tentang desas-desus akan terjadinya kemungkinan perang ataupun pertumpahan darah disebabkan di Saki penceroboh yang masuk ini adalah penceroboh yang bersenjata.
The intruders were followers of the self-proclaimed Sultan of Sulu, Jamalu Kiram III. They had sailed from the island of Tawi-Tawi in the Philippines to Sabah. By February 11, 2013, about 100 armed men had infiltrated the small village of Kampung Tandur, near the town of Lahad Datu. More would join them in the coming days.
Orang kampung di sini hanya mengambil masa 1,5 jam hingga 3 jam untuk sampai ke pulau-pulau tersebut. Jadi ia sangat menyukarkan pihak keselamatan untuk mengawal kedatangan dan kepergian mereka.
To the Malaysian authorities, this was an invasion by foreign forces. The police and military were quickly mobilized to the area. Roadblocks were. The Malaysian authorities gave the Filipinos an extended deadline of February 26 to withdraw. As the day approached, then Filipino President Benigno Aquino urged Jamalu Kiram to pull his followers back.
This is my appeal to you. These are your people and it behooves you to recall them. It must be clear to you that this small group of people will not succeed in addressing your grievances and that there is no way that force can achieve your aims.
At this point, the standoff had been non-violent, but this would change on March 1st. A shootout erupted between the Sultanate forces and Malaysian police at Kampung Tandur. The confrontation left 2 police and 12 Sultanate men dead. In the aftermath, villagers in the area were ordered to evacuate.
Penduduk kampung Tanjung Batu dia sudah mulai ada yang melarikan diri. So saya punya istri pun tanyalah, kenapa lari dari sana dong? Bahwa penceroboh sudah ada di sana.
Apabila kita ketahui benda itu sudah berlaku, saya terpaksa mengeluarkan penduduk kampung menggunakan kenderaan sendiri, lori dan apa saja untuk membawa mereka keluar.
Standoff was officially over on the 24th, after the remnant Sulu fighters escaped. In total, the conflict claimed 71 lives, 56 followers of the Sultanate, 9 Malaysian security personnel, and 6 civilians. Around 150 Sulu combatants were also captured. The conflict, which came to be known as the Lewat Datu standoff, was one of the deadliest attacks on Malaysian soil.
Begitulah insiden berdarah di Sabah pada tahun 2013. Selanjutnya kita akan menyimak kenapa klaim Kesultanan Sulu terhadap Sabah muncul. Sesuai dengan sejarah, Sabah sebelumnya memang dimiliki Sultan Sulu. Inggris menyewa Sabah dari Sultan Sulu dengan membayar sejumlah uang setiap tahun. Nah, setelah Malaysia diberi kemerdekaan oleh Inggris, Sabah pun dimasukkan dalam Persekutuan Malaysia. Tapi Malaysia juga rutin membayar uang ke keluarga Sultan Sulu. Pembayaran itu di-stop setelah insiden pada 2013 lalu. Itulah yang kemudian menimbulkan sengketa baru. Yuk kita simak ya.
Alexander Nasta Tauloa lives in Sulu on the southern western tip of the Philippines. He makes a living as a security guard, but he has another role in his community. Alexander counts himself a commander among the Royal Security Force of Sulu, a loose cadre of the volunteer militia.
Nagtitraining kami para ma-defend namin yung Sultanate of Sulu. Yun lang ang ano namin sa Royal Security Forces.
10 years ago, he was among the initial 100-strong Royal Security Force that traveled to Sabah. They were led by the Raja Muda, or Crown Prince, the brother of the self-proclaimed Sultan of Sulu at that time. What followed was a month-long confrontation with Malaysian forces, known as the Lewat Datu standoff.
Bumiyahe kami mula sa Simunol Tawi-Tawi papunta sa Lewat Datu Tanduaw, Sabah, Malaysia. Sakay namin isang barko at saka 4 na jungkong. Ilan lang yung baril kasi hindi layunin namin pumunta doon na manggera. Ang layunin namin pumunta doon, bumalik na kami sa aming lugar.
While the Malaysian authorities saw the arrivals as an invasion force, Alexander and his compatriots had a different view. To them, Sabah belonged to them and the Sultanate, a ruling dynasty with a history going back to the 1400s.
The story of the Sultanate dates back long time ago, hundreds of centuries ago. Wala pang Pilipinas. Meron ng Sultanato ng Sulu.
Suluk means sea current, and the people of Sulu were known as the Tausuk, or people of the sea current. The Sulu Sultanate once laid claim over the Sulu archipelago, which stretches from the tip of Mindanao to eastern Sabah in Borneo.
North Borneo originally belonged to the Brunei Sultanate, but as a result of settling a feud amongst the members of the Brunei Sultanate, the Sulu Sultan was gifted parts of North Borneo by the Brunei Sultan. Now, even though it was gifted to the Sulu Sultanate, somewhere in the 1860s, the Brunei Sultan decided that he was going to lease parts of North Borneo, or all of North Borneo, to several colonial owners.
In an 1878 agreement, Sabah was leased to Baron von Overbeck and Alfred Dent, who later founded the British North Borneo Company.
And there was compensation to be paid of $5,000 per annum. That was increased in 1903 to 5,300. Then when North Borneo, that territory, became property of the British, and then Malaysia was formed in 1963, Malaysia continued to make those payments.
At the heart of the dispute was the word pajakan, written here in the Jawi script. In the British version of the agreement, it was translated as to grant and cede. In Malay, however, pajakan can mean to lease or to rent. An updated 1903 agreement used the word menyerahkan instead, meaning surrendered. Nonetheless, the Sultan's heirs insisted that the British, and subsequently Malaysia, were merely renting Sabah from them, its rightful owners. But by the time of Malaysia's independence, Sulu had become part of the Philippines and was under the jurisdiction of the federal government.
In 1962, Sultan Ismail Kiram, the grandfather of the present Sultan, Sultan Muizuddin, asked the Philippine government to sort of take charge in terms of doing the claim on behalf of the Sulu Sultanate to Malaysia.
The government of the Philippines initially pressed the Sultan's claims. In the late 60s, former President Ferdinand Marcos was alleged to have authorized Operation Merdeka, a failed plan to destabilize Sabah. Meanwhile, an official document from 1968 asserted that the Republic of the Philippines has dominion and sovereignty over Sabah.
So that created some kind of irritants or tension between Malaysia and the Philippines. That was also the period when there was a kind of a rapprochement in Philippine-Malaysia relation. In that context, the Sabah claim was put into the back burner. And this was not in the interest of, obviously, the Sulu Sultanate.
The heirs of the Sultanate of Sulu surrendered their sovereignty over Sabah to the Philippine government. And it's a duty and moral obligation of the government to pursue this claim of the...
Sebentar guys, kita jadi tahu bahwa konflik Sabah sebetulnya antara keluarga Sultan Sulu dengan Malaysia. Sebab pemerintah Filipina telah menghentikan klaim atas Sabah pada 1977. Dengan kata lain, pemerintah Filipina tidak terlibat langsung dalam konflik Sabah lagi. Jadi seakan-akan hanya menjadi masalah perdata antara pewaris Sultan Sulu dan Malaysia. Yuk kita lanjut lagi ya.
Princess Jocelyn is the spokesperson for the family. She's the daughter of Jamalu Kiram III, the self-proclaimed Sultan, during the Lahad Datu standoff. She understood why her kinfolk sailed to Sabah 10 years ago.
Out of frustration, the people just want to go there and experience living in their own territory because they got frustrated already. Parang wala nang pag-asa that we can live in our own territory in our lifetime.
Kunin namin papunta doon, uuwi na kami sa aming sariling lugar. Hindi kami manggulo doon kasi alam naman namin sa amin yung Sabah. Uwi kami doon, maghanap buhay kasi mahirap lang kami mga security forces. Baka doon mahaon yung buhay namin. Yun pala hindi. Inano kami, nambus kami ng Malaysian forces. Sila ang...
As the fighting raged in Lahad Datu, 1,000 kilometers away in the Philippine capital of Manila, protesters descended on the Malaysian embassy. There were calls for the Aquino administration to support the Sultanate and reassert the Philippines' territorial claims.
The sultans still are revered by the people. They continuously extend or give their respect in reverence to the sultanate, including their relatives, because they still have a position of influence in the area.
I think a lot of people sort of don't understand that every time there is a major sort of political event, elections for example, right? If we looked at from Duterte to Marcos in recent times, the mention of reclaiming North Borneo or parts of Sabah back has always been mentioned, right? It is in the interest of the Philippines government to sort of remind Malaysia and other members of the region that historically Sabah belonged to the Philippines, right? And this reminder is important, particularly for, I think, voters in the southernest part of the Philippines.
When the Lahad Datu standoff ended, Alexander escaped back to Tawi-Tawi on a small rowboat. He had survived, but the humiliation was a bitter pill to swallow.
Lahat-lahat, mga 60 plus ang namatay sa amin. Walang hustisya. Kaya nga, nandito kami, nag-ano sa Sultanate of Sulu, sila ang bahala. Lugar ang pinag-usapan, lugar ng kanunuan. Pahiya tayo, lugar natin. Pagkatapos ibang
In the aftermath of the Lahad Datu standoff, Malaysia would end an agreement which had stood for over 100 years. Former Prime Minister Najib Razak halted the yearly payment of 5,300 ringgit to the Sulu Sultanate for the lease of Sabah.
Then the Sulu Sultanate took the case up to arbitration.
Begitulah guys akar persoalan sengketa Sabah yang melibatkan pewaris Kesultanan Sulu dan Malaysia. Walau terkesan hanya urusan Kesultanan Sulu, kerap kali hal itu juga berpengaruh terhadap politik di Filipina. Sebab sebagian masyarakat Sulu juga sering menuntut agar pemerintah Filipina lebih bersikap tegas terhadap Malaysia. Terima kasih sudah menonton sajian kami, sampai jumpa lagi.